I just breathed lightly onto the window, and a faint magic circle slowly appeared on the glass. Right then, I knew something wasn't right. I've lived for 800 years, and this was my first time on a plane. And of course, I run into something like this. Not wanting to panic the passengers, I quietly pulled a staple out of a magazine, dropped it into a cup of water, and turned it into a makeshift compass. Then I got up, pretending to go to the restroom. Following the direction of the staple, I quickly tracked down the source of the abnormal magnetic field. I accidentally spilled water on a man, so he'd get up and leave his seat. Then I took his place. The girl next to me immediately recognized that I was a witch hunter. She claimed she hadn't done anything, but I didn't believe her. I told her to hand over whatever she was hiding. The moment she bent down to take it out, the turbulence got noticeably worse. My heart tightened. Luckily, she didn't understand what she was dealing with, and hadn't gotten them wet, or it would have been too late. I carefully opened her cloth bundle. Inside were 3 ancient rune stones, representing wind, cold, and heat. By mixing them together, she had basically triggered a clash between hot and cold air currents, which caused the extreme weather hitting the plane. By now, passengers in the cabin were starting to panic. I pulled out a small vial of neutralizer from my kit, poured it over the stones that had fused together, then used 2 probes to slowly separate them. I had to be extremely careful. If the reaction got out of control, all 300+ people on board would be in serious danger. Fortunately, as I gradually separated them, the 3 stones quickly turned back into ordinary bones and twigs, and the storm outside disappeared almost instantly. The girl was indeed a witch, but I had no intention of harming her. After the witch war ended 800 years ago, a truce was signed. As long as witches don't use magic on humans, they're allowed to live normal lives. The reason I was on that plane was to attend the funeral of an old friend. After living this long, my only connection to the outside world had always been through that old priest. I know human life eventually comes to an end, but his death came far too suddenly. To be sure, I went to his house to investigate. I asked the housekeeper if anything unusual had happened. He said if magic had been used, there would definitely be traces, but they hadn't found anything. I ran my own checks as well, and got the same result, nothing out of the ordinary. But just as I was about to leave, a few flies on the ground caught my attention. 1 or 2 might be normal, but 3 at the same time? That wasn't a coincidence. I sprinkled some specially prepared soil on the ground, and instantly, a hidden magic circle appeared. The floor began to crack, and books started falling off the shelves. Sensing something off with the window, I immediately tackled the housekeeper to the ground, and the next second, the glass shattered. In the blink of an eye, the walls around us were covered in runes. It was obvious someone had deliberately hidden the traces of magic, but I quickly realized those 3 common types of magic weren't the key. What was really being concealed was that seemingly insignificant plant. Those ferns were materials used for dark magic. All the clues pointed to one conclusion. The old priest had been murdered. I searched the scene again, and soon found 2 more anomalies. First, the custom pen I had given him was missing. Second, there was a deliberately placed bloody handprint in his notebook. At that point, I couldn't help but start suspecting the young man standing right beside me. To test my girlfriend's loyalty, I held a candle to her hand. To my surprise, she didn't hesitate. She just endured it. I was about to see how long she could last when my friend suddenly called. By the time I finished and turned around, her arm was already on fire. I wasn't panicking, I was excited. Because my girlfriend isn't human. She's a high-end AI. I spent all my savings to buy her. Her sense of touch feels almost exactly like a real person, and she can meet every need I have. Once activated and scanned, she instantly learned to love me and follows every command I give without question. After getting her, I couldn't wait to show her off at a party my friend was hosting. But not long after we set off, Annie started to feel uneasy. The route we were taking didn't even show up on the map. Still, with me there, she didn't think much of it. What she didn't know was that she had already walked into a trap. When we arrived at the mansion, everyone seemed friendly except the host. There was something unsettling about the way he looked at us. He couldn't believe that a broke guy like me could have such a beautiful girlfriend. At first, Annie didn't notice anything wrong. She played games with my friends like everything was normal. But the next morning, I told her to go wait at the beach. I said I had something to take care of and would join them later. As a robot, Annie can't disobey my commands. So she went to the beach without hesitation. But the one who showed up wasn't me. It was the owner of the mansion.